Hello and welcome to the podcast with Brooke. Before we get into it today, I just want to give you a quick heads up that I am going to talk about postpartum and my pregnancy, which was not easy. I'm not going to get into details, but it will exist within this podcast. And if that's not what you need today, then it's okay to step away. Come back again sometime. I'll be here. I want to tell you about when I went back to work after I had my kid. I had never experienced brain fog like that before, and I really didn't have the words for it then. So what I tell you now is how I felt in that moment. I felt incredibly inadequate. I felt so slow. I genuinely wondered if my brain was ever going to be the same again. And I know, some of you are thinking, you just had a baby. Of course your brain was foggy. We all have mom brain, right? But this was more than that. This was life-changing, earth-shattering, and I was so afraid. I wasn't processing information the same way that I used to. I wasn't getting my work done as fast as I could before. And I remember coming home so many nights in tears telling my husband I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I thought, we're going to give it time. Time will fix it. Months went by, and then years went by, and things just kept getting worse and not better. To really understand, though, what was happening, I need to take you back to who I was before I had my kid, before any of this happened. My whole life, I was a people pleaser. And I know some people might give me some pushback on that because there were parts of me that didn't seem that way. I like to perform on stage. I sang. I had opinions I'd share here and there. But underneath all of that, I was very much performing and I was very much masking constantly. I didn't know it then, but that's what I was doing. The world made it very clear what was expected of me: to show up polished, work hard, be useful, don't make anybody uncomfortable. And I was really, really good at that. I remember when I was working as a receptionist in an insurance office, one day I had nothing to do. And I went to my boss's office and I said, "Hey, I don't have anything to do. Is there something I can learn? Can I help somewhere?" And he brought that up in every single one of my annual reviews every single year after that, because he thought what he was seeing was someone who was ambitious, a go-getter. And don't get me wrong, I was capable and I really did want to contribute. But the real reason that I did it, I knew that sitting idle was not what was expected of me. And if I didn't perform to that expectation, I wasn't going to get the thing I actually was chasing. And that was always success, but not in the form of money or promotion. It was a compliment. It was approval. That was my whole game. I could walk into any room and become exactly what that room needed me to be. I didn't make anybody uncomfortable. I fit in every single time until I couldn't do it anymore. My pregnancy was not easy. It was very difficult. It was so hard that I knew after I did it one time that I was never going to do it again. And I say that with so much love for my kid, who is genuinely like the most perfect, amazing, incredible human being on the planet. But pregnancy was hard. And then came postpartum. I probably had postpartum depression, but I didn't want to tell anybody. And I didn't tell anybody because you're supposed to be happy, right? You're supposed to be good. And here's the thing that's so strange about that looking back. You are happy. You're good in a way, but at the exact same time, everything is just not right. There's this duplicity to it that's so disorienting. You love this person you just brought into this world completely and wholly, and yet you are falling the fuck apart. And I thought, maybe this is just postpartum, the stuff I was going through at work. Maybe it's just mom brain. It'll pass. It didn't pass, my friend. It did not pass. The panic attacks started. I remember being under my desk at work, deteriorating and thinking, I am never going to be the same person that I used to be. There was so much shame wrapped around all of that because I thought something was wrong with me specifically, that I had broken in a way that other people don't break. And the truth is, I wasn't going to be the same. I was very right about that part. I had just had the reason for it completely and utterly wrong. What I understand now looking back is that I didn't break. The mask broke. My entire life, I had been holding a performance together. And when I had my kid, when my body was already stretched to its limit, I ran out of the capacity to keep holding it. The mask got too heavy, and my mind and my body said, no more. I didn't know that then. What I knew was that everything I had built my identity around, being capable, being useful, being a person who always showed up just exactly right, it was crumbling around me. And I thought that meant I was the problem. But my body stopping the performance was actually the first time I started to hear myself. For the first time ever, I had to actually pay attention to what my brain needed instead of demanding myself to just comply. And slowly over time, I started to realize something. My brain had always been different. My whole life, my whole life, I had been carrying some kind of neurodivergence that I had masked so well, performed so completely, that I didn't even know I had it. I've never been officially diagnosed with anything, and honestly, I really don't need to be. I don't need to label something to understand my brain needs something different, some different conditions than the world was designed for. I just needed to know that. The shame that I felt in that season, the silence, the hiding, it kept me stuck longer than anything else in my life. And I want to name that directly because I think a lot of you know exactly what that feels like. Here's what I know now that I couldn't see then. That breakdown was always coming. It happened when it did because I was pushed to a brink in more than one direction at one time. But it was always going to happen because I was always going to have to choose at some point between performing for the rest of my life in a way that made everybody else comfortable or finding something that was actually built for how my brain works and how I want to be as a human being and who I am. Postpartum made that decision for me. And as terrifying as it was also the beginning of building a life that actually fits me. Since being able to work from home and design my own day, I work when my brain is firing. And when it's not, I rest. I'm more mentally healthy than I've ever been. I'm more myself than I've ever been. And this journey has not been perfect by any means, but I'm here and I'm real in a way I never was when I was performing. I wish I could go back and talk to that version of me who was under that desk having a panic attack, the one who thought she was broken. If any part of this is where you are right now, then these words are for you too. For me, under that desk, having a panic attack. For you, in whatever moment you are in right now that feels really hard. The anxiety and the masking, the feeling that your brain won't cooperate in the way the world needs it to, that is not evidence that you're broken. Your brain needs different conditions. And the fact that the old condition stopped working is not a failure. It's information and it's your body telling you something is true. And when I look back at that woman, the one who was holding it all together and falling apart at the same time, I look at her with recognition. She took the first step to finding her true self, forced into it or not. And here we are today. Thank you for tuning into the podcast today. I hope you'll come back next week. New episodes release every Friday morning. If you want to get to know me better, if you want to understand what I do and how I might be able to work with you, all of the information is in the show notes, but the best way would be to get your booty over to Instagram, find with.brooke, and send me a DM. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your story and know that I am always in your corner.